You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. LSU beats Missouri 49-39. It was not pretty, but a win is a win is a win. And as we continue to say here, maybe the most encouraging thing, if you're looking for optimism, is that in the second half, the Tigers came up with stops. And perhaps that's the most important thing because that's what you couldn't get against Ole Miss. That's what you couldn't get in the second half against Arkansas. And that's what you couldn't get for the first three drives to start the game as Missouri went boom, 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 touchdown, 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 until the Harold Perkins interception. And it seems like maybe you found a little something in the second half with your defensive pressure. You came up with a couple of sacks, 5 TFLs. You had the Major Burns pick 6. You generated pressure. The Braden Swinson strip sack. And maybe that is alleviating some of the pressure off of your secondary as you continue to mix and match to try to find who's going to be best for you in that secondary. So Brian Kelly did talk about some of the young guys in the secondary. I'll get to that in a second, but first I want to go through some of the injury updates that he gave on Monday, most notably the injury to Jaden Daniels. As we know, Jaden took that shot on the goal-to-go situation where it was a high snap, and it was a busted play where he made something out of nothing, rolled left, got into the end zone, and took that late hit. The touchdown came off the board because of the holding on Kamori and Pimpton, which was a bogus call. But Daniels went into the tent. They put a rib pad under his shoulder pads, and he played the rest of the game, as you saw, clearly affected by it, but gutted it out. Here was Brian Kelly with an update on Jaden's ribs.
I think our biggest concern was, just overall soreness. He got hit a number of times. It was a physical game. But he checked out well yesterday. He was in the film room this morning, got his normal film study in around 5:30 this morning, and was with the trainers this morning, and he'll be full go for practice on Tuesday.
So that's the best news possible. Full go for practice on Tuesday after the rib injury. And, of course, Jaden Daniels, if you missed it earlier, was named SEC Offensive Player of the Week. Again, that's the third time this year Jaden's been named Offensive Player of the Week, and rightfully so. Accounted for 4 touchdowns. Should have been 6 touchdowns, as he had one mysteriously not called, and then the other one taken off the board. But what a day for Jaden Daniels. Brian Kelly did run through the rest of the injury report. It looks like the Tigers are getting a little bit of good news.
Doubtful is Chris. That high ankle is probably got him doubtful right now. And I think probable is Omar. Probable is Charles Turner. Probable is Aaron Anderson.
So Omar Spates returning would give you more depth at linebacker while you've been able to build up more experience with Whit Weeks. Aaron Anderson, while Chris, of course, is Chris Hilton with the ankle sprain that he suffered on the final play of the game against Ole Miss, where he went high and came down. Amid the flood of people on the field, many didn't see that Chris Hilton was injured on that play. Clearly, it cost him this game with that high ankle sprain. But you'd have Aaron Anderson probable, and then Charles Turner probable is another really significant one. And that, to me, was maybe one of the more understated but significant storylines of the entire game. Charles Turner went out with what was initially described as an ankle. Then after the game, Brian Kelly amended it to a knee. And they were worried about it. And Turner went out, Martinez came in, and Martinez had issues with high snaps. That goal line situation where Jaden was injured in the second half, I mean, my goodness. Jaden scores on that first down play from the 2-yard line after the pass interference in the end zone. That was a high snap where he had to make something out of nothing. It was negated because of holding. Marlon Martinez then on second down with Nussmeier in the game, false starts, and then it's second and goal from the 16, high snap again. So he had a rough go. Marlon Martinez had a rough go snapping the football. They ended up putting DJ Chester, the true freshman, in the game. Think about that. True freshman, and you end up with a totally new battery with true freshman DJ Chester and Garrett Nussmeier for that point. That's really a ton of confidence and a young player on the road in a fourth quarter battle, and you go put a freshman center in the ball game, tons of trust in DJ Chester. We'll get to there, but here was Brian Kelly updating Charles Turner's status on Monday.
Charles right now is listed as probable. And, we had an MRI. We thought maybe he had a meniscus, but it turned out to be positive that he does not. So, we'll be careful with him. And we're, like I said, I think it's probable that he'll get a chance to play.
That's great news. I mean, if you got your entire starting offensive line intact to go against a Sovereign team, which is down one of its starting defensive linemen who had a knee injury is done for the year, yes, big advantage for LSU if you get Charles Turner back. Now, I did also ask Brian Kelly on Monday the decision when they went from Martinez, who's having issues with the snaps, they went from Martinez to the freshman DJ Chester. Here's what Brian Kelly said.
Martinez has been really good for us. It just seemed like he was a little off snapping the ball. As you know, we had a bad snap down in the red zone, and it caused some mistiming opportunities for what we were trying to run. And, Brad Davis, our offensive line coach, really is high on DJ and felt very comfortable in that situation to put him in the game. And when he did go in the game, he was good. I mean, he did a really nice job. So we feel like we got another true freshman that is going to be a really good football player for us. And that doesn't mean we're not happy with Martinez. We just felt like in that situation, we could make that move because of the confidence that we had in DJ.
I mean, look, we saw in the Mississippi State game when Will Campbell had his fourth penalty and Brian Kelly pulled him. And they moved Emory Jones over to left, and they put Lance Hurd in at right, and they put Frazier in at right guard. And we saw how they flipped it. But the point is, all that illustrates is your depth on the offensive line, your depth and talent on the offensive line. When you got down to your third, understand, y'all, on the road, conference game, undefeated, ranked opponent, sellout crowd, you're in a four-quarter game, and when you miss that field goal after that goal-to-go situation, that's when Damian Ramos missed the 28-yarder, you're down 5. You're down 32-27. You get the 3 and out. That's when they punted, and Gregory Clayton didn't field it, so you get the ball at the 8-yard line. So understand that situation. You're down 5 at your own 8 on the road, sellout crowd, ranked opponent, and you put a true freshman in at center. That's a tremendous amount of trust in that kid in that moment, and he delivered. So good for DJ Chester there. Speaking of freshmen, Brian Kelly also talked about a few freshmen in the secondary. One of the guys that has emerged, and I talked about him last week because my feeling right now is what the ceiling is for your veteran players in that secondary. Some of the guys that just athletically, what their ceiling is. And because of that, you got to play the younger guys and live with some of the mistakes that young players are going to make because athletically they're so much more gifted and the ceiling's that much higher. That as they play more and get more and more comfortable, you're seeing it with Whit Weeks. You're seeing it with Whit Weeks. He's already a really smart, instinctive football player, and the more he plays, the more comfortable he gets, the faster he's going to play, and he's getting better and better and better. I think the same is true for guys like Ashton Stamps and certainly Ryan Yates at safety, who is the freshman safety that's emerged, and Brian Kelly talked about Ryan Yates and his emergence on Monday.
We don't have a lot of options, but that doesn't take anything away from him. He's done a nice job for us, and we have some confidence in him. We think that his next step is playing with a little bit more aggressiveness and confidence. He's a really good player. We want to have him let it go and play maybe a little bit on the edge a little bit more. I mean, he doesn't want to make a mistake, and I told him, listen, it's okay, just go play. But he's a young player. And he wants to be, perfect. And it's nice to have a true freshman in there that is so conscious about all the little things. But I think he's just got to go play and let it happen.
Yates, remember, is the guy who batted the ball on the 4th and 5 against Ole Miss around midfield. He's the guy who batted the ball back in Jackson Dart's face. Yates is a freshman out of Dallas. They love him. He's very athletically gifted. Smart football player from a football powerhouse. And so a lot of times he's where he's supposed to be. And as we keep saying, the ceiling is much higher for a guy like that. You're seeing him in there in the dime packages. Something else you're seeing in the dime packages, sometimes we'll put Womack in at left end. We've seen that since the Mississippi State game. Or the Arkansas game where he had all the pressure. So yes, I got to see more Ryan Yates. It's no disrespect to Andre Sam or Major Burns. A couple of veteran players. Yates is a more gifted safety than those two guys, and I'll live with some of the mistakes so that way he starts playing freer and faster, especially these next 2 weeks when you're at home and you're a big favorite against Auburn and you're going to be a big favorite against Army. This is the opportunity to go get that dude a ton of work. The other thing that was really interesting was Brian Kelly talking about Kylin Jackson. Now, Kylin Jackson is the freshman out of Zachary, and Kelly made a little bit of a joke. It was actually very reminiscent of the way he talked about Kayshon Boutte when Brian Kelly first got the job. But listen to what he said here about Kylin Jackson and his possibility of playing this year.
He's coming along, but it's a process. He's a great kid. We really enjoy him, but this is a process. He's only been on a couple of trips, so I would say that, he's a guy that we want to keep moving forward, but he's young, and he is just figuring it out as we go. I'd like for him to continue to move forward, with an attention to the little things that are important, because he's got a lot of ability. His upside. Now that he's healthy, as you know, he's been fighting, a couple of surgeries. But he's got to keep growing. If he keeps growing and keeps moving in the right direction, you probably see him on the field by the end of the year.
Kylin Jackson's a guy that spent most of fall camp on the exercise bike as an injured player. But listen to Brian Kelly talk about his upside. He's got a lot of ability. Like, you can hear it. It's a lot different than, again, no disrespect to Andre Sam, but there's a reason Andre Sam was at McNeese and then Marshall and Tulane. Like, Kylin Jackson's a dude that's ready to play in the SEC. It's different. So, yeah, man, when that guy comes along, you can see some of the talent, the young talent in the pipeline. My point is, and will continue to be, you got to play the young guys. You got to play the young guys. Get them the experience, the on-the-job training. Live with the mistakes. It's already bad. Live with the mistakes because you're going to be better as they get better. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.